Hello beautiful people, and congratulations for making it to the second to last video of my top 100 roller coaster series. In this edition, I'll be going over 15 coasters instead of the usual 10 as we begin the countdown towards the top 25 finale. We're starting to enter elite territory with rides that received close to, if not over, a 9 out of 10 on my super scientific scale. Without further ado, here are the coasters that ranked number 40 through number 26 of my top 100 list. The top 40 kicks off with a trip to the west coast of the US to hop on the fantastic wooden coaster called Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. Originally opening in 1998 by CCI, it was not receiving the best of reviews in the smoothness category in the 2010s. Thankfully, GCI came in, completely retracked the ride, and turned it into one of the best wooden coasters in the country. Ghost Rider is surprisingly long, over 4,500 feet of track, and within that length you get an awesome mix of great airtime, underrated laterals, sudden drops, all while weaving through and on top of the structure. And the retrack did wonders like maybe no other retrack in history, as it's the perfect combination of CCI grit with GCI smoothness. Many enthusiasts come to Knott's for Ghost Rider specifically, and I certainly understand why. And it's one of those rides where this East Coaster deeply wishes was a lot closer to home. If you think there's been a lack of wood on this list, the beginning of this video will make you very happy, as the chain will continue with my 39th favorite coaster, Phoenix at Knoebels. This was one of my very first wooden experiences when I started my enthusiast journey back in 2017. And I have been in love ever since. It's only 78 feet high, with speeds of just 45 miles per hour, but its wonderful buzz bars turned Phoenix into one of the craziest and honestly scariest airtime machines in the world. The amount of room you get legitimately feels illegal, where you are almost standing up at multiple times on this coaster, especially that last run of Bunny Hills. Insanely smooth for its 76 years of age, Phoenix is an icon. I think it gets a bad rap from some because of the admittedly overpraise it gets from the Golden Ticket Awards, being the quote, best wooden coaster in the world. It is absolutely not. But if you strip that ticket away, Phoenix is still one of the most fun and enjoyable wooden coasters out there. And may they never ever take away those buzz bar restraints. From one classic Woody that the old timers adore to another, one of the most famous coasters in the world, number 38 is the Beast at Kings Island. In a very similar vein to Magnum, the Beast is a coaster that the more you ride over the years, the more you start to appreciate and love it. No, it's not full of airtime. Almost none. Yes, there's a ton of straight track. But the Beast is so freaking unique, guys. The world's longest wooden coaster is the perfect, thrilling hike through the woods. You just disappear from the park completely, feeling nothing but speed and that old school wooden bite. The setting is just unmatched, and makes for one of the best night rides of any coaster in the world, a take that even Beast haters will probably agree with. And this double helix, oh man, it should not be slept on, because yes, the ride's airtime is lacking, but its intensity certainly is not. If they ever make a Coaster Hall of Fame, the Beast is first ballot, no question, no debate. May this be a coaster that lasts forever. Let's finally bring back the steel coasters, everyone, for number 37, another RMC, and it's the wild, out of control, how is it this fast? Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Wow, what a beauty Alan Schilke created with this thing, as the very first single rail Raptor legitimately looks like someone hit the fast forward button. Way more intense than Stunt Pilot for whatever reason. Wonder Woman whips you around like crazy, with multiple wait, I'm not ready for it airtime moments and inversions. I know some have complained about roughness, something that has been addressed and hopefully fixed with its new trains coming in soon. I didn't see it as a major issue personally. I just got off this ride blown away, and surprised that I enjoyed it more than Iron Rattler, the more well-known RMC at Fiesta. A fantastic model that I do hope we see more of at parks around the country and the world. Speaking of roller coasters that completely caught me off guard, number 36 is another one, as it's back to Europe for the unbelievably punchy Flucht von NavGarad at Hansa Park. I've mentioned how much I love theming, and that's why I adore European parks and coasters, NavGarad being no exception in that department. Wonderfully themed to the core. A short, relaxing dark ride portion eventually becomes a wild, rolling 0 to 62 mile/hour launch in just 1.4 seconds out of nowhere. Holy crap! It needs to be experienced to be believed. One of the best launches in the world, seriously. It then features a really good airtime pop, a just okay outdoor portion, but then a super fun Eurofighter section in complete darkness. Almost all Gerstlauers in the US are very to just not good for me. But oh, did this one in Germany make me respect them a whole lot more. Cannot recommend NavGarad enough. We're at the point of the list where complaints about a coaster being too low or tough. We're almost into my top 5% now. But some would still say number 35 is too low for one of my most ridden coasters, Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. Growing up here, this was the coaster outside of Disney and Universal that everyone talked about. And for good reason. Its place in the enthusiast world is undeniable, getting multiple awards for the best steel coaster in the world. And going by the layout, yeah, 100% can see that. Despite turning 25 years old next year, Superman still has one of the best layouts ever created, with a beautifully picturesque and thrilling drop, amazing airtime hills, especially this one, followed by the intense spaghetti bowl section that brings a wonderful mix of positive and negative G's. We know the major con though. These restraints. They suck. They're awful. And take away from what very well could still be a top 15 coaster in the world. Alas, it falls at number 35 for me. Still very respectful, obviously. I just wish I could personally go higher, as it deserves to be. There isn't too many Intamin hypers like Superman out there, but there's a lot more B&M hypers, including the one at number 34, the amazing Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. All the rides this thing has given over the last 8 years in the Florida sun, it still runs unbelievably smooth. Mako's floater airtime has been beyond praised and obsessed over for good freaking reason. I adore Mako's airtime so much, especially the drop and that first hill, 7 to 8 seconds of out of your seat bliss. I'm a huge fan of the color scheme as well. It truly fits so well into SeaWorld Orlando's vibe. I will say it's not my favorite hyper, as you'll see later in the list. Our reason being its second half is a tad underwhelming. Would I blame you if it's your favorite though? Absolutely not. Mako is exquisite and unquestionably one of the best roller coasters in the amazing coaster state of Florida. Next up, a ride that's not a B&M hyper, and a coaster that opened just before any of the hypers, but its layout and ride experience certainly feels like one. That being Shivering Timbers at Michigan's Adventure, my number 33 favorite coaster. It lived up to the hype I had heard about before my visit in 2023, and it is one of my all-time favorite front row rides. In that row, you get to experience those awesome floater airtime hills to their max potential, a very rare experience on a wooden coaster. It also has good speed, it's obviously super long. For any lovers of air, Shivering Timbers will instantly become one of your faves. I've heard complaints of rough rides, especially on wheel seats. I admittedly purposely avoided those rows, so maybe my opinion is slightly skewed. But that front row and row 11 deliver a top-tier wooden coaster experience, making a trip to Michigan's Adventure, despite its many flaws, very much worth it. From a hyper, to a coaster that feels like a hyper, to another B&M hyper. Number 32 is the timeless Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. For whatever reason, this seems to be a polarizing ride, with people seemingly having this towards the top of their hyper rankings or the bottom. Very few having it in the middle. Clearly, I'm in the former of that debate, because I have absolutely loved Nitro since my first ever ride in 2017. Almost 25 years old now, I still think it's one of the smoothest of the model. The drop is one of my favorites, great airtime hills, especially the finishing run, and that upwards helix. You rarely feel intensity on these hypers, not the case with Nitro, as this helix tries to rip your face off, and it's fantastic. It also has that beast effect of how you essentially leave the park and have your own isolated section to yourselves, with an underrated view from the top of the lift as well. I'll always be unapologetic about my Nitro support. It'll forever be one of my favorite hypers. Speaking of ripping your face off, the coaster at number 31 doesn't stop there. It just tries to crush your entire body in the best way possible. Back to California for the wonderful Tatsu at Six Flags Magic Mountain, the phenomenal B&M Flyer. A big time step up from the Mantas and Acrobats of the world, Tatsu's pretzel loop is so iconic in a beyond beautiful setting, and it is so long and so intense, words cannot describe the feeling of this element. Not for the faint of heart, but my god is it incredible. The rest of the ride is no slouch either, graceful inversions, huge sweeping turns, a massive 170 feet of height, and delivers an iconic night ride as well. One of the world's best B&Ms, not hyperbole, and without a doubt, one of California's best roller coasters. That's 10 coasters so far in this video where I normally end, but not this one, baby. Let's keep it going. Are we keeping that intensity high? Well, not so much. But theming-wise, we're turning it up to a 10 out of 10. As number 30 is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Islands of Adventure. Very much a family coaster, but number 30 is not a hot take, because almost everyone that's been on this ride, especially Harry Potter fans, can't help but smile the entire time. When Intimate asked how many launches they want, Universal said, yes please, 7 total on this thing. Some forward, some backwards, surprisingly punchy twists and turns, wonderful whimsical animatronics. The surprise that can also be found on Verbolten, a ton of fun. Let's talk the night ride. I'm sorry, one of the best, with the onboard audio making you feel like you're in the movies. The motorbike style seating is such a blast. As a fan of immersive experiences and roller coasters, not too many do a better job at integrating the two than Hagrids. Are we keeping the intensity low now? Yet again, not so much. In fact, we're bringing it all the way up with one of the most intense period. In Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion, number 29. I'll call this Pantheria when it officially opens next year, but it's still I-305 for me for now. This Intamin Giga Coaster may just define the roller coaster one is too intense for me tag, like no other, as you rarely see a super long line. This coaster was seemingly made just for enthusiasts, as its over 300-foot drop immediately into a sharp turn can cause the most hydrated of us to still massively gray out, many completely blacking out. It's no joke, folks, and that speed does not let up, whipping you through some of the quickest transitions you'll ever experience. Don't expect airtime, not what I-305 does, but if you like pure speed and intensity, this coaster is for you. It's definitely not for everyone. Heck, I usually have to tap out after like 2 rides, and probably why it didn't quite reach top 25 status. But the feeling while you're on it, pretty unmatched to any coaster out there in the Forces department. At number 28 is a ride that for some reason gets forgotten about as the elite coaster that it truly is. And maybe because it's aged so well, and there's not too many elite coasters from the 90s left, but Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood is absolutely one of them. The former Arrow turned Morgan delivers one of the most unique rides in the US. A rare coaster whose second drop is much higher than the first drop due to its wonderful terrain. What follows is some absolutely unhinged airtime moments, slamming you back into your seat like few others do. Phantom's Revenge is one of those rides that when you hit the brake run, you have to ask, what in the heck just happened? How many roller coasters have that old school feel while still having elements modern enthusiasts seek more than Phantom? Not too many, if any, which is why this coaster always deserves a spot in the upper tier of our rankings. Speaking of forgotten about coasters, let's talk about one of the most underrated and underappreciated wooden coasters in the US. Prowler at Worlds of Fun, number 27. Yes, everyone, Prowler is fantastic. One of the best ever created from GCI. Mostly smooth? Check. Wild airtime? Check. Non-stop speed and turns? Check. Elite night ride? Double check. Everything you like about GCI, you can find in Prowler. I tend to forget just how much I love this manufacturer, as we're certainly not done with them on this list. Prowler has every reason to be discussed as one of the best among a superb collection. A world-class wooden coaster, indisputably. Get to Worlds of Fun, an underrated park on its own. See for yourself that Prowler is truly fantastic. So what coaster just missed out on the top 25? Ironically, a very similar ride to the one that closed out my last video. Number 26 is at Parc Astérix in France, called to Tatis. This ride is pretty much Pantheon except with actual incredible theming. Everything you wanted Pantheon to have, to Tatis does. Look at this station for one, so freaking good. The trains are awesome as well, and the ride delivers on almost every level. Great airtime hills, including that same wild backwards moment that hits every time. The top hat does slow down quite a bit on to Tatis versus Pantheon, but the elements after are so well done here. Super quick inversions, great pops of air. To Tatis from top to bottom is a gem of an experience. If there's one negative, and it's probably unfair, is that some may have been expecting to Tatis to be a potential top 10 coaster in the world. And while amazing, I think most would agree it falls just short of that. But it's easily the best coaster in all of France, and gives you even more of a reason to visit this incredible theme park. 75 coasters down, everyone. The top 25 is finally next. So pumped to get this list out, and I'll be very curious to hear which coasters you think will show up and in which order. So please feel free to leave any predictions in the comments below. Wishing each and every one of you a wonderful holiday season. I will see you all next week.